Lord Jesus Christ, and welcome to St. Cyril Methodius Ukrainian Orthodox Church in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm Father Gregory, the pastor. It's good to be with you this morning, this Sunday, August 18th, the after feast of the Dormition of the Mother of God. I wanted to talk to you about something that I talked about earlier this week when I was preaching at Assumption Greek Orthodox Church here in Madison for their Vespers for their feast day. And that is our call to be saints. Paul says to the Corinthians, and as well as to the Romans, that they are called to be saints, to be holy. In our popular religious culture, we tend to associate holiness with a certain kind of moral perfection, with a life of virtue. In fact, some of the things that I looked up when I was trying to track down the verse that I put in the show notes talk about holiness as cultivation of virtue. And I don't want to in any way suggest that this is wrong, but I think it gets the order backwards. I'm not holy. I don't grow in holiness because I'm virtuous. I grow in virtue because I'm holy. It's precisely the pursuit of holiness that results in the growth in the life of virtue, and trying to get that order correct is one of the great challenges. Well, if holiness is not a matter of cultivating virtues, or if in an Orthodox context just a matter of being faithful to the teaching and the practice of the church, well, what is it? Well, the reason we dismiss these, I want to put those other definitions of holiness to the side, is because they sort of invert the order. And what I mean by that, they define holiness. When we talk about holiness in that way, we're talking about it all in terms of external benchmarks. We can all of us, I think, imagine the man who is a husband and a father. He never does anything wrong. He meets all his obligations to his children, to his wife, to his employer, and yet there's something missing. There's maybe a lack of affection or warmth. You can't fault him for what he does, but what he leaves undone is really the concern. Well, and this is really gets to the heart of what we mean as Orthodox Christians when we talk about being called to be saints. It is a matter of integrity, and specifically not just to the externals of the life of the church, not just to the externals of the Christian life, but fidelity to our own personal vocation. In other words, to be a saint means to be the man or woman that God from all eternity has called me to be faithful to my own vocation. That, of course, presupposes that I've put in the effort to discern my vocation. What is it that God has called me to do? Now, I'm a married priest, so I have to be a good husband and I have to be a good priest. I have to be faithful to the demands of both of those states of life because they're the foundation on which my vocation grows. But my vocation is not limited simply to being a husband or a priest or being a married priest, but rather these two elements together, these two states of life together, are the stuff out of which my vocation emerges or is created. To be faithful to our vocation means to cooperate with God in the state of life in which we find ourselves. Am I willing to be a good husband, a good priest, but also a faithful Christian as a husband and as a priest? Am I going to live these lives with integrity, fidelity? Now that's hard because all states of life carry with them obligations that are sometimes more or less pleasant. I have to admit, I don't always like getting up early Sunday morning to come to church to get ready for liturgy, and yet that's part of what it is to be a priest. I have to be here for liturgy. I have to get everything ready. I have to make sure that everything is in proper order and that I'm peaceful, that I'm recollected, that I'm ready to celebrate the liturgy, that I'm ready to preach the sermon. As a husband, I have to be there for my wife. I have to be a support for her. I have to be loving to her. I have to help her succeed in the things that God has called her to do, even if at this or that moment it's difficult. It's what we do. It's what we do. To be a saint, then, is to be a man or woman of Christian integrity, of being faithful in season and out to our vocation. But again, that means that we discern our vocation, that we ask ourselves, what is it that God has called us to do? What has God called me to do that no one else can do? What's that unique work? That's how we become a saint. By being faithful to the ordinary demands of the vocation to which we have been called. Well, speaking of being faithful to the vocations to which we have been called, it is coming on around 8 o'clock, and I have to go get ready for liturgy. If you're here in the Madison area, why not come to liturgy this morning at St. Cyril and Methodius at 1020 Regent Street. Liturgy starts at 9:30, and you would be absolutely welcome. If you're not here in the Madison area, maybe try to find an Orthodox church where you are and get some sense of what it is to be a saint. And of course, if you are an Orthodox Christian, why are you listening to this? You should be getting ready for church. All right. You take care. God bless you, and hope to talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.